Good morning. I just had some stuff on my mind. You know, I interact and deal with people on different levels financially, age. And what I'm starting to see is that a lot of people and a lot of what's going on in today's world uh, always can be traced back to to your mind, mental health, and what's going on mentally. There's a lot of people who are struggling, and no matter, because if you had just had the mental health, it'd have a bunch of different, like a spider web of different effects, or things that could be traced back to it. A lot of people, and that's why your mindset, mental health is all vital. you know there's so many people that are confiding in somebody because they're unhealthy mentally. They're dependent on somebody, because they're unhealthy mentally. And and people reaching out and doing different stuff trying to treat something, but really they're just band-aiding it or masking it through something else. So the easiest thing to do is try to escape dealing with the root of the problem. So therefore, a lot of people are just negative. A lot of people fault find, and and a lot of people are struggling with identity. But that all goes back and can all be traced back to right here, your mind, depression, right here. All them suggestions, them negative suggestions, them negative thoughts, them negative, anything negative, all that starts right here. And what happens is a lot of people, they have all this stuff going through their mind that's not appropriate, not positive. And it's subtle at first, and it keeps going in their mind. You're not worth it. You're ugly. You're fat. You're this. You're that. It's like on replay in your mind for some people, and it eats at them until they begin to believe who these thoughts say they are, and it's not the case. And I believe on the worldly aspect, they're not getting the proper treatment for this. I was thinking about it. I was sitting here driving. I was thinking about it a long time ago when I was younger. I took a lot of counseling classes before I even knew anything about this stuff. I was taking classes, reading pamphlets about Sam's brain, reality therapy, all this stuff. And I had to be no older than probably 10, 11. And I'm reading this stuff, but I still remember that stuff. And I used to go to counseling when I was younger, and a lot of people, even today, a lot of people, I try to talk to people about, depression and stuff. Like, well, you don't know, you don't suffer. I said, listen, you don't know me. A lot of people know me, but they don't know me. Younger, I suffered from depression, felt alone. I tried to kill myself a lot of times as a youth, tried to take myself out. But I was listening to these things, these negative thoughts, and I tried to take myself out. I suffered from depression. I suffered from identity crisis. But to be honest, I found God. Some people don't believe in God; they call it higher power or whatever. But I know different. I call it God. I call it Jesus. And I learned to love myself and not worry about what nobody else said, and dismiss all negative that comes in my head, because ultimately it will kill you. If you keep biting on all this negative stuff, it will kill you. It is physical, and it'll mentally shut you down. You're done. You'll look to stuff. So you'll buy something, say you get away. But then you get that money and you buy stuff and you still have this problem. Why? Because you never dealt with the root. It's in your mind. Why do you think a lot of these stars and stuff, they get this money and it's all fine and dandy, and then they go on these rants and then you see them acting out and they're doing all this stuff? Why? Because they're not right here. And they're finding outlets to try to cover and mask and run from dealing with the root issue. Depression and all this stuff is real. Just like I was telling the guy, I said, you know, a lot of people, they do this Ouija board stuff and they play around with spirits. I said, just as much as people believe in God, the devil is real. 100% real. And you can't play around, because there's only one outcome. He's coming to kill you. He has nothing good for you. So the enemy, his main goal is starts. I was reading the book, and if anybody ever gets a chance, read Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Myers. It's a good book because it shows how as soon as you're born, the enemy starts working on you. Just little things put in your head. Here. And builds. It builds as you get older until an adult. And then you start feeling the effects of all the negativity and all the negative deposits that was placed in your brain. And it's serious. People are doing outlandish stuff because they're being controlled by all these negative thoughts. Relationships are being ruined because people are fault finding and not dealing with the root of the problem. The easiest thing to do is to point out something in somebody else. But the hardest thing to do is to dig and do a fearless self inventory and realize I got a lot of mess that I need to get taken care of. I need to free my mind. I need to address these negative thoughts, these negative suggestions, and realize that they're not, and I'm not who they say I am. But in order for you to debunk these thoughts, you have to know who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, these thoughts, random people, social media, opinions, all that will formulate and have you believe that that's who you are. That's why I said identity and mental health, they go hand in hand. So the tip for me, I'm not perfect, I'm flawed, but I know I've dealt with these issues. I've tried slicing my wrist. I've tried, as a kid, I tried hanging myself. I've been there. I'm not ashamed to speak out on the stuff. I've did it. But what I learned is that once you accept you and how God created you to be, you don't worry about what everybody else is saying or what they're doing or who they are. And you learn not to get caught up on, oh man, car's got a flat, I ain't got no gas money. You learn, you say, you know what? But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. I got my health. I'm happy. I have a car. I don't care if it's sitting on 4 flat tires. I can go out there and start it up and it run and ain't no check engine light on. Who cares it got 4 flat tires? They can get fixed eventually. And they will. But it's your outlook, your mindset, where your mind is at. Because it's how you perceive everything. How you view yourself. If you view yourself, if you wake up in the morning and say, I don't like my hair. Not me, because I ain't got none. But if you wake up and say, I don't like my nose, I don't like my teeth, I don't like this, I'm not pretty. The whole world, you can get on Instagram and get a temporary satisfaction by people liking your picture because you're exposing your body or you're showing this or you're doing that. But ultimately, when you lay down at night or you wake up the next morning, you're going to feed yourself the same thing. So until people start dealing with them, everybody want to point and say to change this, change that, change this, change you. Change who you are, how you think of you. Be who you want others to be. Display what you want others to display. If you want love, love yourself first. You want respect, respect yourself first. Like I said, when in the beginning of the conversation, I said when I was younger, I learned a lot about reality therapy and Sam's brain and stuff like that. And I also learned when you start to do something or say something, keep it on the I level. And what I mean by keeping it on the I level is saying I. Instead of saying you say I. So what I need to do. How can I improve? So ultimately, if you improve you improve this, you free yourself mentally, and you learn that what these suggestions is negative, anything negative you have to immediately dismiss. You cannot let it have any room. There's no guest room for negativity in your mind. You have to let that stuff go. And I try to do this, not being super spiritual, because I know a lot of people aren't. But the truth is, it is. Negativity is demonic. Why? Because that's one of the tricks of the enemy. Because he knows if he can get you mentally, it's a wrap. He's got you. So I challenge anybody and whoever listens to this video, even if you don't like me or whatever your opinion is of me, just listen to the words I'm saying, because it's very much so. Just look, I was talking to somebody and we was talking, and no matter what we said, the conversation started off with dealing with mindset, the mind. And everything we said about what was going on today and how people are acting or whatever, it all came back and traced back to the mind. So I challenge people just to assess their mental health. And when you begin to work on yourself mentally and perception and your identity, it'll free you. And it give you a new self-worth, new self-confidence, and a new outlook. You'll learn to say, you know what? I ain't tripping on that. That ain't even worth it. That ain't true. Because I see so much stuff happening with people, and it just don't. I understand. I may not know to the depth or to the extent of where they're at in that thing, but I understand where it's initiated, and it's right here. One of the main things, I was locked up in the penitentiary, and they used to give us these Bibles that said free on the inside. And I said, you know what? That means so much in so many ways, because physically you can be incarcerated, but mentally you're free. And as to the same can be said right now for a lot of people. Although a lot of people may have never ever been to jail, never ever been to prison, they are free physically, but mentally they are incarcerated. And the difference between the two is this: when you're physically incarcerated, depending on what you do or did to get in there, you'll get a projected out date. But if you're mentally incarcerated and physically free, there's no projected out date unless you act on it. So if you continually bite on the wrong stuff and believe these suggestions and thoughts and the things that run through your mind, you're forever incarcerated. And that's the worst incarceration. I'd rather be locked up for life if it came down to it, and free right here, understanding who I am, have my sanity, know my identity, than to be locked up mentally and physically walking around amongst everybody else. Y'all have a good day. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing this often. Some may like it, some may not. This is my first step, my first go around. A lot of people said do a podcast, do this, do that. Sometimes I got a lot on my mind. I post a lot of statuses, just because I feel like I can help somebody. I may not get up there and give you all these 7-letter words and, be super spiritual and super scriptural and, give you this doctrine that some may be looking for. But the truth is a lot of stuff is simple, regardless of what hoops you jump through or what college you graduated from. People need to hear the truth. I'm 100% transparent. I don't fake. I don't hide. I just keep it as real as it is. When it comes to me, I give it to you. Y'all be blessed.